You are now listening to the Street 16 podcast. All right, friends, welcome to the Street 16 podcast. I am your host, Michael BARCLIFT, and tonight I'm honored to have the author, artist, lecturer, and entrepreneur Duane Bowser, aka the artist formerly known as the Black Dot. Black Dot has lived an amazing and inspiring life, raised in the Bronx in the 70s, 80s by a single mom who suffered from addiction. Duane endured all the humiliating moments that children of addicts go through. This included eating unhealthy, wearing unclean clothes, and even accompanying his mother while she was boosting or shoplifting from New York City stores to support her habit. At a very young age, he witnessed his mother overdose while he tried desperately to wake her up. Duane's two younger sisters were taken away from his mother and sent to live with other families, and he would unfortunately lose all contact with them until they were adults. Despite all of this, Duane was still one of the brightest and most talented kids in the neighborhood. Like many youths of this era, he fell in love with hip-hop and actually became one of the dopest MCs of his time, signing a record deal with B-Boy Records at 18 years old and hearing his song played on the radio before touring overseas as a hype man for New York City hip-hop legend Tim Dog. Once Black Dot became a father and the money from the hip-hop industry was insufficient, he had to settle for a job driving the city bus in Brooklyn, my hometown, where he met his current wife, Tanya, whom we affectionately call Mama Dot. Duane and Tanya began to study the higher sciences of ancient spirituality, taught by elders such as Bobby Hemmett, Delbert Blair, Dr. Phil Valentine, C. Freeman L., and Steve Coakley. Duane soon discovered that his next mission was to bring this information to the hip-hop generation and speak to the youth in a language that they spoke and understood. He chose the name Black Dot and began to lecture about the mythology and symbology of urban and hip-hop culture. Throughout this time, Duane had lost his mother, his father, reunited with one of his sisters, raised a child with special needs, and suffered from renal failure. He wrote the book Hip Hop Decoded in 2005. He wrote Urban Culture Decoded in 2015. And The Hero's Journey, You Gotta Laugh to Keep From Crying, I Did Not Start Living Until I Thought I Was Dying in 2025. In between those years, he started the Urban X podcast with his son Malcolm, which became the #1 father and son podcast of all time. They also launched the Urban X clothing line and created a paid membership where their biggest supporters could get access to his old lectures, exclusives, and membership discounts. But the greatest gift to their members was their time, as they initiated the morning meetup where members got up every day at 6:30 a.m. for 90 days straight to encourage, listen, and share with each other as Malcolm, Tanya, and Duane allowed members to speak, give each other advice, tell stories, or promote their products as we laughed and cried together and became known as the UX90 family. Duane reconnected with his other long-lost sister and brought her into the fold and helped reunite the whole family at one of their best family reunions in North Carolina, where they honored the elders, the ancestors, and the youth. On top of all this, he helped his beautiful and beloved wife, Tanya, survive breast cancer. He also started a podcast with his other son, Eli, called the Disabled is Able podcast, and he looked on with pride as his son, Malcolm, wrote his first book, Urban Excellence, and his only daughter graduated from college. What a life. And he still is not done yet. He has 2 young grandsons. He still attends dialysis 3 times a week. He still answers and returns emails and text messages from followers. He personally called me to check on me after my father passed away, and he manages to keep a smile on his face and on thousands of his listeners' faces as we live, love, laugh, and learn from this remarkable man who is also a man of integrity, a man who readily admits when he is mistaken and never mistreats or tries to scam anyone. We thank the ancestors for blessing us to be able to share space and time with one of the greatest men I know and one that I am proud to now call my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the Black Dot, Duane Bowser.
Yeah, that was the greatest intro of my life I think I've ever heard. Bear with me, bear with me. Thank you. Thank you. I've never heard my life spoken like that before. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I really, really do, man. Thank you so much, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Take your time, brother. You know, I thought
Yeah.
about this because I've listened to so many of the podcasts. You know, when you do 570 something podcasts, your listeners feel like they get to know you. You know,
Yes.
and then also being on the UX90 in the morning meetups and even in the men's groups, and then meeting you in person, you feel like you get to know someone. And I often heard you and Malcolm teasing yourself, or y'all, you know, making fun of yourself for getting emotional sometime when the wind blows and everything. And brother, this is just part of life. This is part of your experience, and you deserve to get some flowers. This is all warranted, and this is straight out of your book, you know, which is the reason why we're here. We're here to talk about the hero's journey.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Gotta laugh to keep from crying. And tonight, I want us to do both. We already got the crying out of the
We
way.
already got the crying out the way. Exactly.
So let's have some laughs and learn and do what we do. All right. So listen, brother. I want you to just tell us how does it feel completing this amazing body of work? Like, how does this feel in contrast to your other books, and at the stage of life you're in? How does it feel to drop this one on the people?
Well, this one again was a personal story, so you have to relive a lot of moments, King, and a lot of moments you don't want to have to relive, but there's no way that the story can be told. When I sat down to write this story, I said it in black dot fashion. It has to be transparent. It has to show strength. It has to show weakness. It has to show all of the things that us men go through. And I had to use it as a space to be as vulnerable as possible, because society, as it is currently structured, won't allow Black men to have that space to cry, to share what they're afraid about, and the personal things that they have to go through. So the other books were a little easier to write because I was focused just on a subject. Like when I wrote about hip hop, I know hip hop so well, you know, and on so many levels that I didn't even have to reference. I didn't have no other reference books around. I didn't have to. I just sat down and I wrote it. You know what I mean? And because it wasn't a book about the history per se, even though we talk history, it was a book about the mysteries. You know what I'm saying? And how hip hop can be used and should be used to help uplift our people. It was a gift by our ancestors, you know, to realign us to be in a position so that we could, you know, get ourselves out of the situation we was in. Urban Culture Decoded, my second book, which recently I revised. And I revised it, and the new title was called Understanding Our Youth Through the Lens of Urban Culture, the spiritual, digital, the physical, digital, and spiritual reset for 2025 and beyond. And that's just about the environment we grow up in, which makes us who we are, King. And so, but it's a system in place. So while there's a liquor store, a check cash in place, a church, a Chinese restaurant, a barbershop, and these things become fixated, and you create a global map, you know what I'm saying, on how you're gonna navigate through that. And if you don't understand how a rat operates in a maze, you never get out of the maze. They just change the maze from time to time. So I thought it was a perfect follow-up to Hip Hop Decoded, because that was the environment that birthed hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Out of nothing comes something. But this story was my personal hero's journey, my personal walk through this, and all that I had to endure, you know, and so much trauma, so much pain. And so it really took me 15 years to write it. But thanks to the UX90, you mentioned the UX90, it was during those sessions, you know, that I found a safe space to be honest, and really revisit it. Then when we did the Power 30, which was just a 30-day abbreviated version, I started writing. And I said, I'm not going to stop writing. And when Malcolm, you know, went off to have baby number 2 and all of that, it created the perfect space, Mike, to get to work. And I did not lift my head up until the job was done. And I'm thankful for it. I'm appreciative of it, and I was, satisfied.
Good, good. I love the book. I'm halfway through the Urban Culture Decoded right now. This is the third one that I'm reading. I read it in I read this one first, the hero's journey. And man, it was just so real and so vivid. And you talked about having to go back and relive some of these things that was uncomfortable. What was like the hardest story to write?
I think the hardest story to write was the abuse of my sister, and the physical abuse, and I kept it light. You know what I'm saying? I could have wrote a whole book of just the abuse, but then the story would have turned into victimhood, or you know what I mean? And so, but it was that hard, writing that part, but she don't remember none of it. She
Right.
was so young, she don't remember. And so now I'm placing blocks into her memory bank that were not there. They were always there in her subconscious. And what would the effect be of that? Also, with Malcolm's mom, you know what I mean? Going through me growing to being a man and making a lot of mistakes within that space, and really needing grace. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that I could grow up and become a man, because no one teaches how to become a man. We're learning, as we go. And as we go, we make mistakes, but I don't want to be held accountable for mistakes I made 30 years ago unless I'm continuing the behavior. And that I have not. I've learned from the mistakes. I've grown, and I put my best foot forward so that I can, in attempt to become a better person and a better man. But not being there for her pregnancy with Malcolm, because I'm trying to secure our future. In retrospect, she may be able to understand it, but in that moment, all she knows is that I'm not there. And in my frustration, getting adding domestic violence to the situation out of frustration, because that's what I come from, and that's what I saw was a bad, terrible situation that I needed to become a man about, accept, grow, and move forward. And that's why I put it in the book. Remember, I wrote the book. I could have left out anything I wanted, but I didn't, for a reason.
And like, brother, it's no secret that a lot in the community look up to you, and myself one of them. And yes, we don't do no hero worship. We know that we all flawed human beings, with a higher self and a lower self, and especially where we come from.
Yes.
And in our upbringing, like it's almost impossible for us to get it right when we're 13, 14. Like, we got to go through some things. But
Yes.
yeah, that passage did make me cringe. And I tell you, when I read it, I thought of Odyssey. I thought of your daughter, because you said that she did the editing. So shout out to Odyssey for doing the editing. And I was concerned about, how did Malcolm respond? How did Marcus respond? How did Odyssey respond? And how did your wife respond to those details? When I'm sure you revealed it to him way before book time, but
Which details in particular?
about the problems that you had with Malcolm's mom.
Yeah, that that's open conversation in our home, because we're very close. And so when we sit down at a table, I give it all up. You know what I mean? I want you to know Malcolm had already knew those things even through his mother. And so they weren't shocked, but maybe to see it written in written form like that, it makes you go, well, damn. But that's the story of my whole life. And so my wife already knew. Odyssey already knew. This is what I went through when I was young, and I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. So seeing in the book did not shock them, or there was a few revelations in it that they go, well, damn, Dad, you didn't mention that, or I may have forgotten that. And for Malcolm, we had a brief conversation, but he overall, he said he think I did a good job. You know what I mean? In making sure I kept things about me in perspective. Because come on, I could have wrote a whole slew of shit about his mother. You know what I
Right.
mean? Let's just keep it a bean. There's always, but this wasn't about that. This was about me taking responsibility. This is my story, but I keep no secrets from my children. They knew about my sister's abuse, my mother's addiction. They know everything. You know what I mean? And that's how we build our foundation of our circle of trust that we, now that don't mean Mama Dot and Odyssey don't have a mini side of, circle of trust that only the women know about and, this and that. But overall, we keep it all honest. We keep it all on Front Street, so to speak.
Good. Salute to you, brother. One of the things that I practiced when I did my cleansing and healing was I wanted to repair the relationships I had with former lovers, my ex-wife, people from the past who were with me at a time when I wasn't as high in my vibration as I am now. I did not want to leave those relationships unrepaired. Also, speaking of your wife, man, there's an excellent story about when you first started dating her, and I believe it was Malcolm's birthday party or something like that, and she hadn't even met like your previous baby mother and her friends and all that crew, and she volunteered to dress up as the clown for the birthday party. And those of us who know Mama Dot, she is an amazing and wonderful spirit. She is so generous and sweet and just a wonderful person to be around. And that just really stuck to me, that she was willing to go through to that length and humble herself and not be in her ego to do that for you and for the children.
Listen, that that moment is when I knew I was going to love this woman. You know what I mean? To put on a clown suit, right? In front of the ops, because that's what it is, right? In front of the ops, not knowing what the result was going to be, just so that it was my goddaughter's party, just so that it would make me happy. She did that for me. And it was the most humbling and sacrificial moment that you can ask, because I don't know if I could have did it. I don't know if I could have put on Bowser the Clown suit and entertained in front of her baby daddy. I don't know. I'm that strong. But because she loved me and she did it, and we had a moment when I looked across and I said, if you're willing to go into the lion's den and do that, then you're always going to have somebody that has your back. And that became the solidifying moment. There were a few other moments, but that moment said that she's ready to go to war for me, because that's a war move. You know what I mean? I'm going to go into the lion's den cloaked as the entertainment. You know what I mean? All because I love you and I believe in you. And from that moment on, we ain't looked back. You know what I'm saying? We did not look back. I said, I got you. And, you know what I mean? So I appreciated it. No.
Oh, yes. Salute to Mama Dot. And, we talk about, your spirituality and coming into your enlightenment, after leaving the hip hop world. And I did the same. We have some similarities in our journey. We both from New York City, from the 80s. We both got a small taste of the industry, enough to see the things that we would have liked about it and the things that we did not like about it. Then we moved on and found a higher calling. And, but we're both dads, we're both authors, we're both podcasters. We even both have a younger sister named April and a son named Eli. We have all those things in common, brother. But we talk about, the quote unquote conscious community. And when you talked about how you discovered the teachings, and you went straight to the deepest part. You said you picked up a Bobby Hemmett tape first. Off the block, off the boulevard, and one of the things that Bobby and Phil, who I also listened to, that they always stressed was, do not follow me. I am not your leader. I am not the daddy. Like, I am not the president. Yes. I am a master student who also shares with other students. And you exemplify that. And like us that's in the community, sometimes we can forget about how many people just don't know about this, that just don't know who Phil Valentine and Bobby Hemmett or even the Black Dot is, and sometimes we look at them like, wow, how can y'all not know these people? But, you know, we do have our bubble. We stay in our bubble to protect us from, you know, the dun-dun-duns. But I want you to talk about, you know, that aspect of spirituality, what it meant to you. Why was it so important? Why was it the final chapter that made you feel like, okay, I really found my tribe? And in specific, how they always have stressed, do not follow me. Follow the information if you resonate with it. If not, find something that you do resonate with, but I am not here to be your leader. Talk about that part.
I'm going to take the conversation a little further back to my grandmother. And so my grandmother dealt in hoodoo, voodoo, whatever you want to call it. She was a pastor and reverend of her own church, but you know, in the front of the church, you worship one thing. In the back of the church, there's something else going on. And so my grandmother was deeply rooted in spirituality, deeply rooted in the sciences, to the point where as a 3, 4, and 5-year-old child, I was able to pick up vibrations that other people could not pick up. Now, in the book, I speak about the beast-like two-legged animals that popped out of her floor that she had a relationship with. And I know she had them because I could see them. And but this was before I knew how powerful she was and what it is she do. I mean, people would come to her house all day and they would get readings, and I didn't know what it was. I just knew that in the middle of the night, this beast would pop up, this entity, and would go in the kitchen and would eat, and she would leave things out for him, and then it would go back in the floor. Now, as I got older and understood some of the things she was connected to, she would use me as a vessel for some of her early ritual work. And I was not uncommon to see spirits or entities or things that other people couldn't pick up, or hear voices. This was a common thing in her home. And so I thought it was common for everybody. So as I got older and got out into the world and started talking about these things, most people ridiculed me. Even my other side, my mother's side of the family, laughed at me and, oh, stop all that. And I know what I know. And so I suppressed that for years and years and years. I just suppressed it and said, but I noticed that I would never get in trouble. No matter what kind of dirt I did, there was always an intersecting event or something that avoided jail time. I'm talking 4 kilos of coke. I'm talking where the police walk up on the vehicle. I'm talking, I'm coming out of Saks Fifth Avenue with a bag full of stolen goods, and they look in the bag and the bag is empty. I'm talking really bizarre things that I could not explain, understanding that I must have some kind of halo or protection that went with me. And it wasn't until 1996, the crossroads in the book, coming out of the Million Man March, and finally, you know, me and Malcolm, mom's giving it one more shot, and it didn't work. And in that year, I met Azariah or Azazel as a part of this process of me trying to refine and reconnect with self. And he gave me that Bobby Hemmett tape, and it changed my world because it reconnected me with all that I had suppressed. And the fact that he was from Mullins, South Carolina, you know what I mean? I immediately said, this was my grandmother's work. This was her telling me that the industry aspect of what you're after, that's cool, but there's a bigger and greater reason that you are here, or greater work that needs to be done. Now, this work won't be as glorious as being a recording artist, but all of that stuff is made up in an illusion anyway. And so if you are here to do the work, I'm going to realign you. You know, Azariah became my Morpheus, and he fed me, and it realigned me with the spiritual teachings that I felt that I needed. And now I have hip hop in my corner, and I have the realignment of the spirituality. It only made sense to blend them together to present something to young people that they know how deep and how powerful they are. Now, as you know, I was the one, me, Shabazz, and Chris, we were the one bringing people in flying them in, feeding them, putting them in hotels, driving them around. And so we got to see the behind the scenes footage of working with these masters and these teachers. And the main thing was you found out that they were human. And they never hid that, Mike. They never came across like I'm anything other than you. So when it became time for me to be a lecturer, speaker, those were the principles that I wanted to abide by. I wanted to make sure that my story was on Front Street about health, about love, about failures, about the winnings. But we are not going to create an idle situation because we see what that does to our people. That's old paradigm stuff, put somebody on a pedestal. And so we wanted to make sure when we started our podcast and everything we do is about human to human interaction at all costs. So yes, I will email you back. Yes, if we're in the same place and you go, yo, Dad, I'm in town. You want to get something to eat? Yes, I will come out to get something to eat. And yes, I will listen to your situation and share mine because we in this grind together trying to be the best that we can be.
Yes, well said. I was not going to ask you about
Ask me anything and everything, my brother.
Yes, I know you cool with answering, but I wasn't gonna bring up grandma's friend underneath the floor. I was gonna leave that I was gonna leave that one alone.
Now, what I did was,
Yes.
in retrospect, what I had said was, as a child, your visual spectrum is far greater than adults. You know what I mean? So maybe as a child, because even when you watch newborn babies, they're following things that they could see around the house that you can't. So perhaps my visual spectrum hadn't been condensed to third density, you know what I'm saying, with bad food and bad teachings to the point I could literally pick it up. And maybe for an adult, it wasn't there. I'm not here to dismiss any of that. But I do know my grandmother studied under one of the greatest hoodoo voodoo people from the South named Dr. Buzzard. Now, a lot of people have never heard of Dr. Buzzard. He was famous for going in courtrooms in the early 1900s and winning cases just by chewing on gum. People, witnesses would forget why they were there to test. And he was so prominent that the sheriff of that town tried to take him down by becoming a Dr. Buzzard himself. It was a real prominent story. Come to find out, my grandmother used to study under Dr. Buzzard. She used to go into cemeteries and literally vanish. And so when I got these stories later on, it made sense. And so I could see why you try to avoid that story. But when we start speaking about spirituality, occultism, all of this stuff, it's rooted deep within who I am,
Okay. All right. So on a lighter note, there's a few scenes in the book that remind me of a movie scene. And I heard y'all joking on the podcast that, Ryan Coogler could have access to direct your movie. Shout out to brother Ryan. But, yes. Tyler Perry would not. He would not be getting the rights. But one of the scenes that remind me of a movie scene is that family reunion scene later in the book where y'all formed a circle and you kind of spoke first and y'all gave it up to the ancestors, then the elders, and then the youth. You kind of started that cipher, which was not like a hip-hop rap cipher, but just was a spiritual cipher of us all sharing and honoring each other. And that list just looks like a feel-good movie scene at the end of the book.
Did you scan the QR code?
I did not for that one. You got footage of that one?
I got footage of that one, which will give you the visuals of me standing there. And because I'm always been considered, I'm the oldest son, even of the cousins, I'm the oldest. And so other than, my uncles and stuff. And so they've always looked upon me to be the one who's going to quarterback, MC, narrate this situation. And it was a family reunion. Usually when family get together, Mike, I ain't got to tell you this. We all bring trauma. We all bring baggage. We all bring unresolved issues we have with each other. We all bring, you don't call me, you don't do that. And when we all get in a space together, it's a melting pot that usually explodes and leads to something that's not good. This was way different. It wasn't even a organized family reunion. My cousin Lisa had just beat cancer, and we all wanted to go down and rally around her because she's such a sweetheart. She's the heartbeat of my family. You know what I mean? And because everybody was coming, we just dubbed it a family reunion as well. And we made T-shirts and we gave everybody shirts, and there was not one incident of beef through the whole weekend. Mike, I can tell you, I was so blown away. It's like we all needed each other at the same time. We all needed to be around our family. And my family is filled with brilliant people, crazy people, loonies, LBGTQ. Everything is built into my family, but we all love on each other. We all just stay connected, and we didn't have no beef with nobody. We played music. We had weed. We ate gummies. We drank corn liquor. We put things on the grill, and we all needed it. And my sister Wanda, this was her first time meeting her biological family. She had met me, and but to come down and see the entire family was a jaw-dropping experience. And they welcomed her in immediately. They knew who she was. And the one thing about my family, Mike, we don't have no filters. So if you family, we just bring you on in the mix. And it happened to be Lisa, the one we was down. Her birthday was that Friday. My sister April's birthday was that Saturday. The family reunion basically was that Saturday and Sunday. And Wanda was down there to meet her family. And it just came together beautifully. And yes, that is a movie scene, something out of Tyler Perry movie. It really is. And we all went home refreshed, renewed, and revived.
Yes, yes, that is great. And I will add the QR code and check it out. I did see the wedding. But speaking of movies, if a movie comes out, who would you like to play the Black Dot and Mama Dot and Malcolm and Odyssey? Who would you like to play in the movie? Who would you like to see play yourself in the movie?
Oh, okay. As a child, I don't know too many child actors now,
Yeah.
but as an adult, that is a great question. Morris Chess, not maybe him. As a dark-skinned brother. My wife loves him. Okay. She loves him, so she'll be sitting on the screen like, "Get ahead, boo." I mean, not you, boo, but boo. Yeah. And maybe Sanaa Lathan or Nia Long for Mama Dot would be great. To come in. So that would be a great chemistry on the screen. Absolutely. I like Nia. So we'd be there, both googly-eyeing on the screen.
Yes. Cool. I asked wifey this. She said Mekhi Phifer, Omar Epps, Wood Harris, and for Mama Dot, is it Regina King?
Yes. All great choices. All great choices.
All right, cool. Let me share my screen real quick. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Wasn't built for that. I've been working on my Forrest Whitaker.
You about to mess this up.
Listen, it's not good.
No.
We gotta move the drugs. This is what it's gonna be. I like you. I don't like you. I'm awoke. I take naps. I'm woke, but I take naps. Malcolm came with the shirt, and it fits me perfect. No. He said, when I was locked down in Johannesburg, I listened to the sounds of Motortown. I said, Motortown? What the fuck is Motortown? He meant Motown, but I get it. Just some funny shit. Where is he from? Russia?
Yes, he's a Russian immigrant.
He's a fucking Russian immigrant?
Yeah.
He has no idea. And don't tell me the Russians have went through certain things too. Who gives a fuck about the Russia? Right? This is America here. You heard? You are here from America, yes?
I don't even know if that's the sweetest accent.
I don't know.
Yeah, you just making stuff
I'm
up.
just making stuff up.
Yeah.
Woke zero.
Right.
But these white folk, it's a good old white folk here. But no, we love white folk. These good. You gotta just hug a white folk every time. And when they let you off and you do crime, know where they shoot your family, just hug white folks. Everything gonna be all right. There are people who said, I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want to go to his grave and piss on his ass. Shit.
Not that.
That's what Cardi B said. I don't give a shit about that, okay? I just want to strip. I just want to take care of my daughter. I don't give a shit about this fucking politics. That's what she was supposed to say. Because then we go, all right, she pushed the table over to the Jews. The Jews. You can't talk about the Jews, right? Yeah, we might do the Bob Marley thing, huh? They said, this is Jamaica, man. That's all we have is the good weed, bro.
So,
Alejandro's in there right now, making shirts.
don't tell Ice.
See, senor, thirsty. Would you like some ice? No, no ice. Get your ass back in there. I walked the street with a gold. I was looking for any black bastard to kill. Raped by friend. Sound like some shit that was coming soon. It was the movie tricks. Hey, Eduardo's here. I'm here to learn it.
Yeah,
Furious.
Yeah, I think that's foul.
Yeah. I can't hear. That's why I can't do the audio books. I can't read because of the diarrhea and my handwriting.
Can you stop?
Okay, all right. Damn. You are tuned into the sounds of Urban X.
I told you when we were at the IHOP in Atlanta, I said, do not stop doing the impressions. And I said, somebody need to make a mixtape. If I had time, I could have found some more. But brother, when it comes to laughing, oh my God, like I love your impressions, man. I couldn't find the Elijah Muhammad. I was looking for that one. But brother, like where do you get that from? And how does your family respond? Because I'm looking at Malcolm, and it seems like he didn't heard it all his life. So he's like, whatever, this dad being dad.
My whole life has been about making my kids laugh. That's why I titled the book "Gotta Laugh to Keep From Crying." I want to shed or maybe cover up my pain and have laughter in your life. From the minute Malcolm used to wake up at 3 years old, when I was getting him ready for school, I would wake up with cartoon characters that he had watched all day long. And he would be like, Dad, stop, man. And so that's been my energy. My goal, again, is to make my children, especially Eli and Odyssey, when they're laughing, I pull out, and I only need an audience of one, Mike. And so if Mama Dot walk out the room, her hair ain't done, and me and Eli there sitting breakfast, and I get one off and he laugh, oh, I got the audience. I'm gonna go. And so, and Mama Dot's only thing for me request is that I have to keep her making her laugh my whole life, and I'm good. And so I've been doing my best. And when I have Malcolm sitting right next to me, remember, our show is live. So I don't know how the impression is going to come out. I just know what I want to say, and I want to make him laugh. And if I make Mama Dot laugh, to the point she got to stand up from behind the camera and start crackling, I'm good. That means the audience gets it. And so to keep that happiness and joy in life, because that's what it's really all about. Now, within all of that, of course, there comes a time when I got to be a dad. And so they never really get the lines confused. They know when I'm being dad and I'm serious and this is about your future or something. And they know when it's like, okay, my dad, and they got to warn their friends before they get to the door. All right, what's your sensitivity, barometer? Because my dad could go off the rails at any given time. And so they kind of give them a heads up, and I'll usually start light and see where they are. And then it's on and popping.
Because you and Malcolm have a little bit of that odd couple energy where, you're the one who throw your shoulder out. He kind of plays it straight, and it works great for a podcast. But which one of your children remind you the most of you?
Which one of my children remind me the most of me? Odyssey.
I figured you could say that.
My daughter has a sense of humor better than mine. You know what I mean? She is a clown, you know what I mean, when given the stage to be so. And she just takes life, you know, 1 minute at a time. That's the way it gets down. Eli reminds me of my intellectual self. Yeah. You know what I mean? So his ability spiritually to see things and read rooms that people can't read is a gift that he has. And so when people initially meet him and they look at his physical limitations, and then he begins to speak and they go, oh shit, yo, I did not expect that. Malcolm has my Virgo discipline, my analytical mind, and, you know, all of those things, but he's his own person in his own right. And that's what makes, like you said, made our show work so much, because he is not me. The show wouldn't work if he was me and he was competing with me. That's right. That wouldn't work. What works is I'm making him nervous because he don't know where I'm gonna go, especially early in the podcast. Right. He just didn't know, oh my God, I'm sitting here with this nigga could take it anywhere. And because my level of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, I could take it anywhere. I could be studious with it and we can learn something, or we can have some fun with this. You know what I mean? And so that's what makes the show work. I miss the show. You know what I'm saying? We're going to crank it up a little bit, you know, just giving you a heads up. You know, I think this Thursday we popping in for one. We're going to crank it up because he misses it as well. And we just were ranked number 2 of the, they ranked 10 dad podcasts and we came in number 2. Nice. You know what I mean? And that's crazy for us not to even do no shows lately. We ranked number 40 in overall Black podcasts, and we have no funding, no backing. We're just doing this off the people. And so, you know, that made me appreciate what it is that we do. But it's time to get back to work in some capacity.
Cool. Before we get out of here, I just wanted to ask you about a couple of your phrases. These are a few. You could take whichever one and expand on it. One is real people can die in a fake movie. The other is never abandon your common sense. I'm woke, but I take naps. Fame is the devil's frequency. I took that, and that helped me a lot. And music is the only thing that can enter your subconscious mind without permission. Any of those you want to expand on?
I'm going to expand on all of them if you have a moment. Are you in a rush?
No.
Okay. No, the first one, which is, what was the first one?
Real people can die in a fake movie.
Yeah. So our government has the capacity to stage anything that they want to stage, right? And a staged event, because 90% of the things we see are staged. Our cognitive dissonance won't allow us to accept that the presidency, you know, all of these things are brought about in front of us to give us a sense of comfort. You know what I mean? If people have the power to take over the world, just using common sense, and we'll get to that, do you think they would allow you to vote them out of that position? So when people say, Donald Trump is going to take over the world, that's why we got to vote him out, I look at them sideways, right? Because if he had the power to take over the world, the voting has nothing to do with it. So all of these things that we come to learn, especially studying under Steve Coakley and Bobby Hemmett, that you got to take a step back to see if this was an actual event or something staged. Now, when something is staged, what fortifies it or gives it, you know, its legs and spirit is to sacrifice real blood in this fake event, so that when you say my eyes are deceiving me, but the people have died, and trauma, when we see people die, it invokes trauma. Trauma triggers your ability to suspend logic. I'm gonna say that again. When you're traumatized or you see something trauma like 9/11, it's a traumatizing event, you suspend logic. Because when logic is in that situation, you know, so you're trying to tell me 16 people across the country simultaneously, successfully hijacked planes and flew them into a needle across the country and we didn't intercept them? and their licenses wound up on top of the rubble so we can know who they are? Bro, that just makes, logically, that makes no sense. But in the emotional moment of it, when you see people jumping out of those buildings, because some people were jumping out of them buildings rather than burn, and you see the real people die in this fake staged event, it solidifies it, and it does enable it to cross over, and people remain confused on what it is that they actually saw. So I see it happen all the time. You know what I'm saying? Yep.
And that leads us into the next one, which is never abandon your common sense. Never,
ever, ever, ever. Again, when you are traumatized or fear is instilled in you, your faculties, you know what I'm saying, become suspended. And your common sense will go out of the window. Let's take COVID. And when I said, okay, this is something big here, right? But then the common sense in me said, okay, Duane, when you go to a restaurant, you can stand up in the restaurant, but you have to wear the mask. But when you sit down to eat, you can take your mask off and you're safe. That didn't make any sense to me. When you're in the airport and you got to be 6 to 8 feet apart with a mask on, but they crunch us all into a plane like sardines, and we're all together eating peanuts, and we don't have to wear the mask, that just didn't make sense to me. I can't go inside the restaurant, but you can build a restaurant outside that I have to go inside of to get a meal. That these things were not making sense. And so I grounded myself in my common sense, me and Malcolm, and we said, we're going to come on every week and we only going to focus on common sense. Now, the decision you may make, let it be your own, but don't make a decision where you abandon your common sense, because 2 years later, they come back around and say, well, that was the decision you made. We ain't had nothing to do with it. We didn't force you to do it. And see, they play these mind games that only come into play when you abandon common sense. So I said, I'm not going to abandon my common sense. And I will rock on that. And then a rally took place over George Floyd, and everybody is outside with no mask, white, black, homeless. And that was just 6 months ago. And the fact that they had this antidote ready, and it takes 10 years on normal to even come up with something. None of it was making sense to me, Mike. And I had to suspend fear at the time, because when Kalendi and Dr. Africa and a few other of the elders made the transition during this period, it was a little frightening. You know what I mean? Then 2 of my personal friends went down, and I had a moment, Mike, where I was like, oh, but I said, okay, let's just always fall back on common sense. And if I can make sense out of it commonly, the rest of that issue talking, it don't matter.
Yeah, I remember I was on the air doing a podcast in March of 2020, and I said to my guy, I said, your towers fell too fast and your pandemic is moving too slow.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
So this is one of your famous ones. This is your famous one. I'm woke, but I take naps.
Yes. That meaning, once you come into consciousness, and we all go through it, there's a phase, even if you're a born again Christian, that's a form of consciousness. You become this revived, energized person, and you want to share with the world, but you want to go strictly by these lessons that you had, and you get frustrated when other people are not seeing it your way, and you just don't understand. And so as a Hotepper who helped write the handbook, in the early pages of it, I needed to always be woke. I needed to be in the movie with my pen and pad. I needed to not go to family functions because they eating swine or they heathens. I can't walk into the church, even though my favorite aunt just died. And so you realize that all of that's nonsense. You know what I mean? When you take a nap from it and you relax your first eye a bit, you understand that this is just the way of the world. Everyone is not supposed to be on your level. Everyone is not enlightened at the same time. And when I sit back, and it brought so much joy to me to reconnect with my boys, to reconnect with family who don't know me as the Black Dot and all that stuff. I'm just Duane. And that added balance to my life where I still can study my lessons and still grow. But now I don't even take a pen and a pad to the theater no more. I have the ability to pick up what I need to pick up and just enjoy the rest. And so stop judging people, be woke, but take a nap, because you don't just inhale, you inhale and exhale. You know what I mean? So that's the process. And so, yes, I am woke, but I can get on my nigga grind quick. You know what I mean?
Yes. And my background with my family being Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I have to apply that all the time, because like no one wants, when I come to visit and bring the kids to see grandmom, like I'm not there to get into a philosophical debate about scripture and none of this stuff. Like I'm there just to visit mom, and I've found a way to maintain a good and a fun relationship with my family members, because I decided that despite their differences, you always say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, I still wanted my family in my life. And so I was able to do that with my dad, my sisters, my mom, and even other relatives. And as some of you may know, my mom and my brother, who was disfellowshipped 30 years ago, they finally are rekindling their relationship. They're talking on the phone. They haven't visited each other in person yet, but they've been talking on the phone and sharing good times and sharing laughs. And that is one of the greatest accomplishments that I feel like I had a hand in helping create, because I was playing both sides this whole time, trying to get them to realize what was most important. And now finally they're there. And I celebrate that. Yes.
And it's a great thing to celebrate. We have to give people grace. There are people who have to give me a grace because I was annoying to be around, because I was always thought I knew everything. And you know what I mean? And then you miss out on, it ain't important to know everything. Sometimes people who I taught stuff 15 years ago, they're just coming into this information, and I allowed them grace. I allowed them to teach me something that I already knew.
Right.
However, I want to give you this space to teach me something so I can feel like I'm learning from you. That when you get into your wise years, your wisdom, you understand that aspect of it. And that's the beauty of it. When you get to that point, you know what I mean?
I heard you mention that on a podcast once, where you be like, oh, wow, that is so interesting. And something that you learned 20 years ago. But why just stomp them down and be like, yeah, I know that already. You just
I taught you that. Go back to your lessons. I taught you that. Even with people doing things for me, I had an issue, because I give from my heart, you know what I mean? And I bank on, that's my protection. I don't need to back that up with anything else. If you took advantage of it, then that so be it. That was on you. It wasn't on me. You know what I mean? And then I found people in my life who genuinely wanted to help me. You know what I mean? But I've been hardwired to help myself for so long that I was blocking blessings. And then my wife had to tell me, Dot, calm down. They know you don't need it, but they want it. This is their way of saying, yo, brother, you know what I mean? So now somebody call me, yo, brother, you need something? Well, yes, I do. You know what I mean? I used to have this guy I would buy coffee for every morning. I could tell he was on like, a fixed income, but every morning he saw me, I'd go get him a cup of coffee and this and that. And then one morning he must've got his check, you know what I mean? And he basically made a beeline. He was yelling from across the street, yo, Wayne, yo, you need something? And I didn't, but I said, yeah, brother, get me a coffee and a butter roll, man. And the way he came across the street with that butter roll and coffee, it was like, it meant something to him to do something for me. And we sat on that stoop, man, and we drank our coffee, and I ate my butter roll, and I thanked him, man. And so we have to get into those spaces when people are trying to just do something nice for you
Right.
with no strings attached, you know.
Right. That's right. That's their way of giving back. And also, I once said that when people offer me help, whether I need it or not, I like to accept the help because that's going to make them feel better about themselves. And also, I don't want to discourage that kind of energy. Like, that's a
Yes.
love that you should encourage from each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm here for all the help now. Somebody want to take me out to dinner? Let's go. You know what I
Right.
mean?
All right.
Yeah.
So here we go. Fame is the devil's frequency.
Yeah, the fame is the devil's frequency and vibration because those are all the channels that the devil owns. And I, when I say devil, I'm just meaning, a source of energy that is not in alignment with the righteous. And so they own the media, they own the newspaper, they own the magazines, they own the record labels, they own the newscasters. So they can make or break whoever they want to be a star. So being a star, you have to go through their channels. And if you come up, even on social media now, if they sense you getting a lot of followers, all they do is bring their corporate people in and suck up that energy so they can, be like a moth to a flame. So the higher you raise yourself beyond that point, they already have eaten off the carcass. And if they don't like your message, they can delete you from the system by making sure you can use none of their channels. We see it with Kanye West now. We saw it with early hip hop, which was using those mediums to fight the power, self-destruct or bring about an energy. And all they did is change the channel and say, our channels are going to be for destruction, self-degradation, and all the things that benefit us. And so if you want to be famous, they can make that happen. Now, fame and fortune are two different things. You may acquire a fortune and be on the subway, Mike, and nobody know who you are. But the minute you want to be famous, that's a vibration owned by them. So be careful. And when I tell people, certain individuals, they can't see me, it's because they're not meant to see me. I operate within a frequency that has nothing to do with fame. You know what I mean? And so I can be known amongst my people for those who want the information. And you mention my name and they go, I've never heard of this person before, because the ancestors have given me a frequency to operate. And as long as I stay within that frequency, now I'm not talking about downplaying yourself. As long as I stay within the frequency that's strong for me, I feel is where my protection lies. Now, that don't mean if Ryan Coogler called and he want to do this movie, I might not go, well, go ahead and do the movie. But as far as you bringing me in your circles and walking the red carpet and up in weird clubs, that is not where my frequency resides. And so I'm going to pass on that. And I've been invited to many a party in my day. And I go, nah, I'm good on that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel that's the devil's vibration.
And lastly, music is the only thing that can enter your subconscious mind without your permission.
Yes, my ancestors and elders taught me that. Bobby Hemmett, Phil Valentine, they taught me that a long time ago. C. Freeman L as well. It's because you are a musical note within itself. You are a harmonic frequency. You know what I mean? And so how can I deny that which is me? My heartbeat is the original drum, but we emit out a frequency that is inaudible to, the common person, but our energy, our auric field, it pulses. We are frequency, we are sound, we are vibration. And so I cannot deny that which is me. Now, what's encoded in the music is where the sorcery comes in. So Dr. Dre can take a classic beat that your mother used to listen to, that, when y'all was cleaning the house on a Saturday, that brings you joy because it reminds you of a time when you and mama were together. And so you open up a little wider subconsciously, but the message encoded in that could be self-destruction. So they have learned ways to create like a missile, but inside the missile that they know you can't refuse, or it's sort of like feeding your dog food, right? But you got to give them the medicine, right? So you take that pill and you wrap it up into some bread or something that the dog likes and the dog is going to willing to accept. But little do he know, he just took a pill. You know what I mean? I used to do that with Malcolm with applesauce. He didn't want to eat the green beans, but when I dipped the tip of the green beans in the applesauce, now he's opening up and there go the green beans. You know what I mean? And so that's how music, that's the best analogy I can give in terms of how music works. It's in us. It's every part of us. It's the reason wherever we go, we make music. We tell our stories through music. We enable our ancestors to travel through music. So in Sinners, when Remick showed up, he was like, yo, Sammy, I need your stories, man, because your stories are so dynamic and they may connect to my stories because you are so old and so ancient, and that drum and those frequencies does so much. And so that's why I say music is the only thing that can enter your subconscious mind without your permission.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Brother Black Dot. When it comes to the phrase fame is the devil's frequency, it reminds me of the story in the gospel when Jesus had just finished fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. And the devil appeared to him and said, listen, I know you're hungry. I know you're tired. I'm catching you right now. Just bow down and give one act of worship to me in all these kingdoms of the world. And he showed him a vision of all the empires and the kingdoms of the world and was like, this is what I can offer you. And it's the same thing that I see today. And
yes.
Yeah, and I've learned from brothers like yourself to, you know, to make sure that I'm on my square and I don't let these people try to take me off of my game. But I'm really,
yeah, because I'm gonna be disoriented at that point. Anything could happen at that point. You know, somebody slips something in your drink. You know, that's why I'm always asking Malcolm, ask yourself, how did I get here? Why am I here? How did we get to this point? If you find yourself in uncomfortable situations at a party or anywhere, how did you get there? Who invited you? Did something weird happen that led you somewhere? You know what I mean? And once we backtrack, we realize, you know, these things, a lot of them are calculated and planned.
Yes, I've realized that for myself. And once again, I thank you and all of the teachers that have helped me rise to this level that I'm at now. I'm continuing to keep going. You know, there's a lot that I have to offer that I'm willing to do on my terms. And, you know, keeping the family first, which is what you wrote to me in the book. Gotta laugh to keep from crying. And
keep that family first.
And so that's what I'm gonna continue to do. And once again, I just want to thank you, Brother Black Dot, for coming and sharing this time with me.
Brother.
Yes, this was we always enjoy kicking it with each other whenever we do. And I just appreciate all of you've done. Before we get out of here, can you just let the people know where they can find you and what you got planned in the future for the rest of this journey?
Yeah, Urban X TV is our podcast, number one father and son podcast, as we say. The Black Dot with the number one is who I am on Instagram. I think I'm Urban X on. I got a TikTok now, but I'm getting ready to create a site called DuaneBowser.com. I already got the name and all that, and when all of these books are uploaded in one place, it's going to be the one place you'll find my recordings, which me and you have some recording to do. I didn't forget. Okay. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do some music together. You're going to find my books, my recordings, my lectures, everything in one spot. So look for that in the future, DuaneBowser.com. Right now, I still have a few of these advanced copies available at shopurbanx.com. So it's a few advanced copies, but after that, you're going to have to wait until August 27th, which is my birthday. That's when I'm releasing the book to the public. There's going to be a hard copy, a soft copy, an ebook, an audio book, and a Spanish version.
Nice.
So we're doing it all. So look out for that.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Brother Black Dot. I'm gonna leave us with a song. Anything else you wanna say, brother?
Please continue to find those skits, man, of those impersonations, man. I need that in my life.
Yeah, man, you brought us a lot of joy, man. I just laughed and cracked up even while I was finding those, just listening to them, man. And Malcolm's response on some of them is also priceless. So,
Absolutely.
yes, we can do that. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. Before we get out of here, please pick up a copy of Voiceless, my book, The Journal of an Underground Starving Artist. It's 30 years in the hip hop game, all the highs and lows, the roller coaster ride you go on chasing that dream. And basically all my life, I tried to be a greater artist than I was a man until I realized that I had that backwards. Once I reversed that, everything started working out righteous. So yeah, pick that up. That's a good read. And yeah, so let's get out of here in a song. Oh, by the way, I've been listening to, is it called Walk With Me? What's the name of the album?
Yeah, Walk With Me.
Yeah, man, I've been listening to it, man. Oh my God, like I love the chicken soup joint. The Yesterday I Lied joint, which you spoke about in the book. It's a couple of joints in there that I'm really, that they on my rotation, brother.
And it's funny because the album was the beginning. I had started writing the book before the album, but I needed that album to help express some of the things that I was going through. Because sometimes for an artist, musically is easier to get it through. So the Walk With Me song is on there about kidney failure, this, that, my childhood, about my mom's addiction. Yesterday, of course, chicken soup is what our goal is. I used to love her too.
Yeah,
I'm saying?
Yes.
My love for hip hop and the relationship we went through. So it was a very good time for me, and I appreciate that.
Yes. So go ahead and check that out. Before we get out of here, I'm gonna share one of my songs. All right.
Well, I dreamed I saw the night.
Year 7.5. All right. It's Naughty here. Sunny knots, have nots. With my one shot, come on. We do it all the time. Y'all know what this is. It's just a public service announcement for all those who listen. Here we go. Alright, keeping it real, mind her how you feel when you find out that all that you believe in is a lie. Runaway slave got trapped after days, shots grazed him in the leg, now he bleeding at the thigh. Living on the block of the long lost souls, reading Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's easy to supply. Spreading pessimism and depression and aggression like you won't make it out even if you try. But I gotta be one of them talented 10th, but the balance is twisted off, leaning to the side. How can I believe I last long enough, strong enough? Look at all the wrong stuff I'm beating in my mind. Garbage, insanity, pornography, profanity, cussing in line and cheating all the time. Anti-professional, this is my confessional. Let this be a lesson through the meaning of the rhyme. For sincere in Asia, Cameron and Justice, Titus, Isaiah, and Michael Eli. I'ma go for mine and lay it on the line until the end of time. If I'm breathing and alive, godly connected and hardly affected. If it's not a hit record, it's a meeting of the mind. Nitroglycerin, if you're not listening, need to back it up in your speakers and rewind.
Froze turning to braids, naughty head, red, do-rag, parties and fades. We know how to slave, still stuck in our ways. Running barefoot through these streets, lugging the chains, and we're not afraid, not ashamed. It's the have-nots that we had, not of a lot of things, not a chance, not a dream. Choose a fast route and we'll cash out on a lot of things, lot of ice, lot of cream. Be yourself, cut off the chains and let your mind breathe.
Now stop, I'm starting to black. Can't control the way that I'm starting to act. About to get kicked out, and I'm starting to back. I'm starting to burst, and I'm starting to curse at my moms and my sisters. Things is getting worse. I'm starting to roam around alone on the earth. I know I can't swim, yet I'm starting to surf. Can't stand on my own on this artificial turf. I'm starting to slip, I'm starting to fall. Looks like I need God, and I'm starting to call. I'm starting to yell, I'm starting to scream. I'm starting to slowly break away from the team. I'm starting to smoke, I'm starting to choke. I'm starting to break, I think my heart's broke. Start to lose hope, I'm starting to read. I'm starting to study all of these evil deeds. Stabbed in the back and I'm starting to bleed. Right here in America, I'm starting to lead. I'm starting to breathe. God bless America, hard test America. When them slave ships came, God left America. God bless America, hard test America. When you drop them 2 bombs, God left America. God bless America, hard test America. When you killed the Indians, God left America. God bless America. Hard test America. When you shot Malcolm, God been left America. Yeah, come on, wake up.
Fire.
Yeah, enlighten your mind through the
Fire.
Ain't the said, but it's said. And the daughters of the runner, let's go.
Fire.
Yes,
Fire.
yes. Thank you, brother.
Oh,
Thank
man.
you.
I
Yes.
caught all of the, you know what I'm saying? I caught it all. And we're going to do some music together for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. I think we already making music. I think it's already in the cards. Like, we just got to stand in alignment and receive what we're going to receive in our golden years, brother.
Absolutely.
The best of health to you. The best
Thank
of
you.
health to you, your family, all your loved ones, the grandkids. Much continued success. Keep continuing to inspire us to live, laugh, love, and learn. And thank you again for sharing your time, brother. I appreciate it, and I love you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, and I love you too, brother. Peace.
Peace. You are now listening to the Street 16 podcast.